welcome to a special edition of The Grumpy Dads. Now, you may recall recently Colgate put out a new ad. And in that ad, they had a gentleman who is a teacher of special educational needs kids with learning disabilities. And there were some issues with the ad, and particularly the Send Twitter community really got on it. And there was a really needed reaction there. And the result of that is that I did a video on this on my PDA Dad channel, which you can find in the description, both my original video and my response after Colgate had responded. But what's happened since then is Colgate have reached out to me and wanted to actually speak about this. And I think so we can hear their side of the story. So I'd like to introduce you to all to Colgate's Head of Research and Development. This is Pat Verduin.
So it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me, Duncan. It was really exciting.
I feel really privileged, and I feel the weight of a lot of people behind me, sort of ready to jump if I say the wrong thing. But we'll get past that, I'm sure. Obviously, this ad came about, and there was a very quick response. Gary was the first person that I'd seen, and when I went and watched the video, it's when I obviously did my PDA Dad video. As a quick response to it. What I really appreciate, first off, is that you did respond very quickly to that. What was it like at your end? So actually, let me step back a bit. What was the motivation behind the ad to start with?
So, Colgate is, an incredible brand. It's a very trusted brand, number one. But, our brand values, we're in like 65% of the households around the globe, 65% around the globe. So, it's just such a highly trusted, penetrated brand. We're in over 200 countries. And our view is that we're a very optimistic brand. We're about the future, everybody creating a future to smile about for everybody. So the idea behind these ads, this was one of 3 ads, and it was really about creating a future to smile about for everybody. The people that are in good shape, the people that have special needs, the people that have, 10 kids, the people that have 1 kid, the people that live in India, the people that live in New York City. So it's really about everybody, and it builds optimism for everybody. So that was the idea behind the brand. It's about optimism. It's about a future. It's about smiles. So that was the idea behind the brand. It was a good thing. The intent was good about the brand.
Because I got that sense when I watched it. I got the sense that actually I feel something really positive was being attempted here. And I think on the overarching story that you got within that 30 seconds of airtime. The idea that smiles are that important, and the idea that it goes beyond. It's not just. I like that it wasn't just about teeth. It was actually about being comfortable with your smile and what it can bring to somebody else.
Right.
Was there a reason that you sort of leaned into the idea of working with kids with learning disabilities on that? Like obviously the teacher who was in it, because obviously he introduced himself as I work with special needs kids. Was there a reason you guys went down that particular path? Strategically,
I think it's something that says, when you think about that community, you think about people that have learned to adapt, they're just special people that have learned to succeed and have learned to be optimistic. And so it's such a ripe community for our brand in terms of what it means. They've learned to overcome and to succeed and be happy. And so that's the real, if you think about what's behind what we're trying to do, that's it. Trying to help people succeed, help people be happy in their life, help people show how great they are and how great they are for others. Yeah. And I think that's what we were trying to do in those ads.
That was the impression I got. And, I think that's an important, I wanted to raise that first, because I think that's an important element to bring into any conversation first, is that I don't think anything we've done with exactly, because you can misconstrue a mistake with malintention, and I don't think there was a malintention there. In fact, I think it was the opposite that was muddied.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
So, for those who haven't seen the ad, the ad itself went on and it put the doctor's name, or the teacher's name, who works with these special educational needs kids. And it works with troubled children.
Right.
Now, interestingly, and I want to raise this, my counterpart, Chris, who isn't obviously part of this this week, but he researched the meaning of troubled. And the dictionary definition is beset by problems or difficulties. And when he told me that, it made me realize, actually, you can see exactly why the word was used. The problem is that it's obviously used in a different context in most of society. So I can kind of see where the mistake occurred, if you like. What was it like at your end when that was sort of raised?
So I'll tell you, so I heard about the issue. So just to give you background on my end. So I head up R&D, which is true. But the other thing that I do head up at Colgate globally is what we call the Colgate Abilities Network. So I actually have people around the globe that have special needs, ability issues, mobility, whatever the case may be, Colgate people that have formed a network. I actually have a pretty severe neuromuscular disability. So,
so this is a passion thing from you as well.
It's very near and dear to my heart. So, and I've just been so fortunate to have a great career at Colgate, but also, people have helped me. When I travel, people have to help me with steps or whatever the case may be. And they've done it willingly. My team is amazing, and the team at Colgate is amazing, and they really value kind of everybody coming at things from different perspectives. So we started this group with this wonderful woman that works at Colgate, and she, it's interesting. I went into this group with a frame of reference, my own. You always go into things with your own frame of reference, and I was thinking about mobility issues, right? And what I learned was so much more. All these people at Colgate that had, attention deficit, they had, dyslexia, they had sight issues, hearing issues, this issue, that issue. And they were making, digestive issues, whatever their disability was or their special needs were, they were making it work for them. And it really opened my eyes about even our consumers, the people that use our products, is all these issues that people need help with, that we can make their lives just a little bit easier. And we started to really learn a lot. We started to learn about that community, and we did it a few different ways. We went and visited, assisted living homes. We went into malls and intercepted people that had, obvious physical disabilities. We went and talked to parents of children that have autism. We brought people came into lecture for us just so we could learn more. And one of the things that shocked us was how difficult it is to care for oral health for many, many disabilities, because it's invasive putting something in someone's mouth. And so caregivers don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. One of the guys that works at Colgate took a picture of him, took a video of him trying to brush his daughter with severe disabilities, both cognitive and physical, brush her teeth at night. And we were all in tears at what he had to go through. And so that's when we started saying, we need to do better. And so we started to think about, how do we keep learning? How do we design our products better? And then how do we help out the community in any way we can? So those were kind of our three pillars of what we thought about. But, anything from the toothbrush design, so people can hold it easier, just something simple as that, It's incredible the difference it makes, and when I learned that, people that go into, older people, that go into assisted living, within like 3 years, they lose a bunch of their teeth because of oral care issues. We can fix that. We can have an impact on that.
I've got to say, that's really encouraging to hear. I'll explain why. One of the criticisms that was raised in the sort of aftermath leading up to this interview is that, why aren't Colgate in? Because obviously I'm what would be considered send adjacent, if you like, in that I'm personally neurotypical. I don't have any physical disabilities. Some people may argue that my face might be a disability, but with that aside,
be that as it may.
Be that as it may. No cure for ugly. But one of the criticisms that really was raised quite emphatically was, why aren't Colgate engaging with actually autistic people or actually disabled people or people who have actual learning disabilities? Why are they connecting with you. And there are obviously lots of reasons behind that, and we've sort of discussed that outside of the end. But what you've really drawn attention to is that your first actual decision in this was to actually go and reach out to and observe and work with people. And it sounds like you've actually got a working environment where you've actually got a very accepting work environment at Colgate for people with learning disabilities and physical disabilities.
I mean, we could always do better, but we are pretty good. But we could always do better. But it's, recruiting people, getting them onboarded, making sure that they have what they need. That's a big priority for us. And so in terms of volume, we'd love to get more people. But it is a big, once they're there, they're part of us. And they contribute, and we love them, and they're just like everybody else. I'd like to think of myself like everybody else. They are too.
Well, exactly. And I think that throws another sort of light in that arena as well, because obviously you're saying yourself, you have your own physical disabilities which you have to live with and work through. And so it's very much coming from an understanding perspective that you are trying to sort of work towards these things.
Right. And so when I had the opportunity, when all this kind of dusted up, they were, we learned that we had made this faux pas, that we had, inadvertently said something wrong. And the team was talking about it. We took the ad down and we apologized. That absolutely, that was the last thing we wanted. But my suggestion, along with others, was like, I would love to talk to this guy. This is, if you think about our 3 pillars, which is learn more, design better, and help out, this is an opportunity for me to learn more. We have this brush, it's called Magic, but it's an augmented reality brush. And so when the kids brush their teeth, it's for kids. We're making one for adults. But when they brush their teeth, they get like rewards. They get it's pirates and all this stuff. They get badges and eye patches, and it's really cool. So this app works for them. And so they have this brush, and then they look at the app and they get all this stuff. We have gotten so many letters and feedback from people with autistic children that their brushing habits have improved dramatically. And we don't really understand why, to be honest with you, but it seems to be working. So now we're going to make one for adults.
Within autism, for a number of autistic people, often they get really involved with the computers and iPads and stuff like that. This isn't everybody. This is obviously a section of the autistic community. And my daughter's one of these people, so I can sort of speak from knowledge on that perspective. When she goes on her iPad into a game, there's an element of autism called hyperfocus, and everything else kind of shuts out. And it's a safe world that they control. And so from what you're describing of the app, I haven't seen it, but I'm going to go and look for it straight after this.
Okay, good.
But, from what you're saying there, having that augmented reality, it takes them into that world, and it speaks to them in a different way. Autism is another way of processing the world, basically. So
right.
It's a different way of experiencing the world and processing the world around you. Now, it can lead to some issues. It can also enhance many things. So that hyperfocus, I've got a good friend who makes jewelry. I've interviewed her on my other channel, and she has hyperfocus, and that means that she can start working on this jewelry, and she just, out it goes. She puts some music on and just starts working. 10 hours later, she goes, oh, geez, at the time, she just zones in. It really helps her to develop her stuff. So that I would imagine that sort of feeds into what you've actually tapped into with that. Because ironically, when you were saying you also wanted to talk about suggestions, which we'll talk about after the episode, but one of the things I came up with was an app that would be interesting, and so that's being done. So that's really good to know.
Right, it's amazing, and that was a happy accident. And the one thing I don't like is happy accidents. I'd much rather have that be planful. Yeah. And so that whole learn more space in the whole idea of special needs is this community. It's just like we really focus in on people with diabetes, because they have special oral care needs. So people with disabilities, what I'm learning, many different types of disabilities or special needs have specific oral care needs that, if we're going to be the brand that puts a smile on everyone's face, everyone deserves a future to smile about, then this is part of our community. and we need to learn about it. So, and please tell your viewers, we do go and talk to people with the actual disability. We do go and connect with them in very one-on-one conversations. The other thing we've done is we just set up a dental lab at the University of Pennsylvania, which is, right in downtown Philly. And so it's for accessible dental care. Yeah. And so with a great dean down there, his name is Dr. Mark Wolf, and our head clinician, Dr. Maria Ryan. And we actually have an innovation lab built in the middle of this dental clinic for accessible dental care, because, it's a city population, special needs. They need, so, one of the things they've set up is they don't have any of the equipment, any of the instrumentation within arm's reach of the patient, because, depending upon the need, they can really hurt themselves with this equipment. Yeah. So they keep that separate. So they have it all designed for wheelchair accessible, gurney accessible, but also just the lighting is different. The pictures are different. Everything is different to calm, lower the anxiety level.
You've really tapped into something on that. That's something that is a lot of foresight to what you're talking about there, because a big part of, certainly for autism and other learning disabilities, there is an issue with, like, sensory processing disorder really webs into those. And with sensory processing disorder, so my daughter has sensory processing disorder, and clothes, and funnily enough, teeth is a big thing for her. She hates cleaning her teeth. Because the sensation of actually it being in the mouth, sensory processing sort of translates often as pain. So something that's just a sensation. So right. I liken it to some people with the nails on a chalkboard, and it's right. Like, it's that kind of a reaction. So she hates cleaning her teeth on the basis that it's physically painful for her.
Interesting.
And environments that are around you. So I dread Christmas I love Christmas, but at the same time we dread it on the basis that everything elevates sensory. Yes. Lights are everywhere, sound goes up, crowds build up. There's so much excitement, and of course that what you tapped into with that anxiety is exactly right for people like my daughter. It builds that anxiety up to the point that it only takes the littlest thing to, that's what it's like anyway, but it's even less distance till the cup's full and it all comes spilling over.
You mentioned something on one of your sites. I was looking up. It's PDA or PD. What it was like? What was the?
So yeah, that's my other channel, PDA Dad. My daughter has. It's a rare. Well, I don't think it's that rare. It's considered a rare form of autism called pathological demand avoidance. But the evidence that's coming out now is it's actually far more common.
Interesting.
And it's a form of, and this also feeds into things like you need to do your teeth. Pathological demand avoidance, that creates demand, which creates anxiety, which means they want to control. So my daughter wants to control the situation. So it's like, no, I'm not going to clean my teeth. And you're going to make me clean my teeth. I'm not going to do it. No. End of story.
Right.
And if you push, you end up in a meltdown or aggressive behaviors or challenging behaviors or whatever, companies might. I think that's, again, why the app helps, because what you're talking about there, you're actually guiding them through the process. So, I mean, even with my son, who's neurotypical, he struggles with cleaning his teeth purely on the basis that he can't really work out, how do I get to all the teeth and how do I get to the back, and
Right, neither can I some days. Yeah. Exactly. We have a great brush for that coming to the UK hopefully soon. So you'll see that soon. It's a guided brushing, but you'll hopefully that'll help as well.
Well, that sounds awesome. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, you're tapping into right things, and what's really the two things that really impressed me is, one, that you're already talking to the community outside of this conversation. It felt like this was a first step, but actually, this is you're well on the journey, and that's a really positive thing. The other thing that I was really impressed with, I think the reason that you get a lot of tension that builds up with these issues with the SEND community and the disability community is because it seems to be dismissed far too often.
Yeah.
So, if there's a situation where it was to do with race or to do with sexism or to do with, LGBTQ or homophobia or something like that, it gets a lot of press and it gets a lot of fuss made. But for the Sen community, it's like you're right at the bottom pillar, and it gets dismissed way too easily. And ableism is something that is basically that is, racism is against race, ableism is against abilities and disabilities. And so, that's what it really taps into. And I think what I was so impressed with is that you did respond. So when I put out my video and the tweets, and not just my tweet, but I was following on, obviously, a lot of the tweets that were going out at the time, the response you were getting. And you actually responded very quickly, say, we acknowledge we've made an error here. We're working to rectify it. And then after some considered time, and what I mean by that is time to consider your response, you actually apologise. So I don't know if you're aware of the film Music by Sia.
Mm-hmm.
That caused a lot of issues specifically for the autistic community. And part of the problem was that when the issues with the movie were raised, there was a particular scene in there where the music, the person music, was being restrained. It was in a very dangerous way and in a very, for a reason that was not warranted, and it caused a lot of issues. The difference was the response from Sia was really dismissive, and she just dismissed it like, just watch the film and stop moaning. And, it was a very aggressive response, and there was no ownership of, actually, you're right. The difference I felt from you guys, and yes, it took some time, but I understand that with a corporation, there's got to be a process, and you've got to be careful with how you respond. But you did actually respond with probably, we're really sorry. And you actually apologised, not just acknowledged a mistake. You actually apologised. That meant a lot to me personally.
Absolutely. Colgate's an interesting company. It's a 200-year-old company. So you have to kind of put that in perspective of, we've seen a lot. But it's a 200-year-old company, and we have this internal, one of our values that resonates through our company. And it always sounds corny when I talk about it, but it is if you ask any Colgate person, they will say this one word that everybody values, which is caring. And I think we do it with each other, how I get treated, but we also do it with the people that use our products, our consumers and people that use our products. And I think, for the UK team, they felt like they violated that, and they wanted to apologize for that. So I give our UK team, our marketing team, our consumer affairs team, our general manager there, a lot of kudos for saying, okay, we got it wrong. Let's talk about it. And then when I heard about it, I said, hey, can I get an opportunity to just talk to this guy? And they were like, really? Okay.
Initially, it was like, I don't think we can do a conversation, but we are listening and we have responded. And then suddenly, message, it was like, we'd really like to talk to you. Well, okay, right. Cool.
Right, and they were cool with it. So because we really are very country based. Our people, our teams, and the UK team is a great team of people, by the way. But they were very cool with it. They said, "Oh God, we want to talk to them. Let's set it up." So, and they were really helpful about getting that done. But I've learned a lot, and this either between talking to people, talking to the other people that really know a lot about this space is our design team. So the people that are actually designing our products, they're really into this idea of accessibility. And for all, you think about the OXO designs for people with arthritis, everybody uses those products now because by the way, they're easier to use. It's easier to open a can with that product. So for everybody. And so we're learning a lot about that, particularly because like your son has, brushing your teeth is a dexterity challenge. First of all, just putting the toothpaste on the brush. So we're trying to figure out a way, how do we design those brushes? They're easier to hold, maybe for really challenged people or people in assisted living that can't hold the brush at all. Do we do a tray type of design? So we're really trying to figure out how do we give everybody a future to smile about? You make oral care accessible to all. And
the magic thing about that is you approached me with that, and we've been busy on Twitter, and we did put that out, and I've got a whole list of stuff that people have come up with that they would like to see. So, as I say, we won't make that part of the episode because that's just going to be dull and boring to air. But rest assured, there's a long list of people who are really interested in engaging with this, because it is a challenge we face every day. And
every day.
And there's some so simple things that can be done. And I think that's what often sucks for the community itself, is there are often such simple solutions that just aren't available. And the genius is the person who goes and, well, if that's needed, then necessity is the mother of all invention.
Right.
I guess that's where that sort of kicks in. But yeah, there's a big list, and rest assured, any of our viewers and people who are seeing this through Twitter, we have got that list. We are going to be heading it over to Colgate, and
terrific.
We'll send it over. Exactly. We're talking with them right now. What we'll do is I'll be emailing that to Pat, as well as discussing it after the episode has finished. So do rest assured. I guess the final question I'd have in this is that what's the next move? So you've had this, and I love that I've got so much more detailed picture now. You've had this group within Colgate that have then reached out to communities with special needs and with learning disabilities and physical disabilities. You then structured this campaign about the importance of the positive side of things. Mm-hmm. You've had the hiccup, which was rectified, and you've taken those ads down, and I really commend you for that, because I know that's not cheap either. I think people forget that there's a lot of money goes into making an ad. It's not like we pulled out the iPhone and filmed the kids at a dance. It was, obviously there was a big financial commitment there as well. So what's the next steps for you? So taking this to the next level, what's the next level of engagement that you want to get to?
I think there's a few different next steps. First of all, our marketing community is very connected around the globe, and they do a lot of best practices, sharing, learnings. Yep. So this will be maybe not a best practice, maybe a worst practice. So this will be a learning opportunity for the rest of the global marketing team. So the idea is that we will get better from this. So the marketing team who developed this ad will share it around the globe and say, this is what you don't do. So that we can start to learn from that. Now, I can't promise you there won't be a hiccup in Singapore, but the chances of that will be a lot less, having had this experience in this, what I consider a great learning opportunity. The second thing that we'll do is we'll start to think about design a little bit, and we're already doing this, but design of our products a little bit more holistically. So, it's not just about motor skills. It's also, and we're this whole magic brush that I talked to you about really opened our eyes. We can impact the oral health of many more disabilities than we ever thought. We thought about motor skill issues because it's obvious, with brushing your teeth. But what we're finding is that by creating new products or new apps or whatever the case may be, we're looking at the cap on our toothpaste. How do we make that easier to open? How do we make it cleaner so somebody with special needs, not just motor skills, but even cognitive needs, it's not a mess when they leave the bathroom, so their caregiver or their parents or their sisters or brothers have to clean up after
they themselves,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a hassle to use our products. It's actually a pleasure. So we're looking at a lot of different projects in terms of design. So I think that's a follow-up. And for a bigger community of disabled people than, to be honest with you, than we originally thought probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is around accessibility. We have this big program called Bright Smiles, Bright Futures, and it's for kids around the globe. We have actually touched over 1 billion kids over the last 30 years and taught them how to brush their teeth. And so we've just started to develop kids with special needs. How do we do that a little differently? We have vans that go to these rural areas, in India and China, wherever, and help people, kids. And we go through the education system with teachers. We bring dentists in to give checkups, and we teach kids how to brush their teeth, give them T-shirts, all that. We have a rabbit that's there, Dr. Rabbit. And so it's just all. And we've really, a billion kids is a lot of kids, and hopefully we'll get to another billion soon. But how do we do that for kids with special needs a little differently? And so those are the kind of things that little encounters like this, whether they seem, a one-time event, they actually permeate through our organization. And I think you'll see different things come out as a result.
I often say sometimes it takes a mistake to get something right. There's that it's a common thing in principle in business, the idea that if you just worked out a way it doesn't work, now you've got to work out the way it does work and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes, in life, in business, whatever, when you've really messed up, that's when you make the most growth in yourself. And that's when you become a better human being or become a better business. And I really feel that's sort of cemented itself into this, and by your response as well. So I really want to thank you for joining us and for agreeing to talk to us and actually bringing that part in. And as I say, definitely continue making that a bigger part of that community, because the best people who are going to be able to advise on the struggles they're having with a toothbrush would be the person who's struggling to have the issue with the toothbrush. So it's, as I say, you've clearly said that you've been doing that, and really please do continue, because I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. And it's been great. It's been a terrific discussion. And it's just been a learning opportunity. And it's visceral for me. When you talk to somebody like you, I internalize it. And when I internalize it, my team internalizes it. When the marketing community in the UK internalizes it, the other marketing communities will internalize it. And that's how things spread. That's how things change, is when it's a visceral thing. And so I thank you for your time, more importantly. And I learned a lot, so that's terrific.
No, it's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate it. And I would encourage anybody in business who's watching this, if you're in a corporation, take the lesson on as well. The best thing you can do is to take these examples and then work with them and make something better, because that's the world that we all want ultimately to live in. So I'm going to end this there, and I'm going to say thank you very much, Pat Verduin, so much for joining us.
Thank you, Duncan.
Please do like this episode, do subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell so that you know when we've got new information and new content going online. Please stay safe, stay well, and we will see you again on the next episode.